Deadline came, deadline went, and nothing happened. Not just for this team, but for all 32 teams in the NFL. Just no action whatsoever. I think the only trade we had was the Vernon Davis trade. So, not surprising, but always worth watching every season. So, our team is our team. Our roster is our roster. The guys we have are the guys we're going to have for the rest of the season. Except for the free agency pickups you make in the middle of the season when somebody gets hurt and you go out and get a marginal player who's mediocre at best. And, obviously that might happen. But in terms of impact players, our team is our team. So, how do I feel about that? Well, let's put a positive spin on things for now because it's the bye week. We're not going to see this team play for almost 2 weeks. We've got 3 home games coming up. We've got 5 of our last 8 at home, which is big. We have a chance to right the wrongs of the first couple months of the season. So let's go ahead and be optimistic. I think everybody kind of felt like we need help on the offensive line, if we needed help anywhere. Some people would also say maybe wide receiver. So, it's weird. I got another notification on my phone today saying that the Seahawks were trying to trade Chris Matthews for a draft pick, probably a conditional 7th round pick. And I didn't get it. I was like, the 7th round draft pick, it's not going to help you this year, obviously. It probably won't ever help you, but Chris Matthews, with Ricardo Lockett out, just became that much more valuable to this team. He has special team skills, and he is capable of playing NFL wide receiver. And without Ricardo Lockett out there, I didn't get that. That move, I looked at that when we were talking about maybe trying to trade Chris Matthews for a draft pick. I was like, either we must think he's terrible or we must think that this team is bad. And I don't think either of those statements are necessarily true right now, so it didn't happen, so it doesn't matter, I guess. Okay, offensive line. So the guys we have are the guys we have. Anybody we sign later in the season is not going to be a very promising prospect anyway, so this is our team. And obviously this is the biggest sticking point for Seahawks fans to get optimistic about the second half of the year. So let's break it down. Russell Okung, left tackle. He missed the last game because of the ankle injury, but it looks like he'll be fine for the game against Arizona coming up. The last game we saw him play, the game against the 49ers, was one of the best games he has ever played. Probably the best game he's played since he was making the Pro Bowl back in the day. PFF, Pro Football Focus, graded him at a positive 5.5 for his game against the 49ers, which was tied for the best performance he had ever had in any one game. So, obviously, in my opinion, Okung this year has been below average. I'm not going to say he's been bad, but I think he's been below average. You can go back and see some games where he was terrible, the Lions game, the Rams game, but I think the body of work is about below average. But hey, he's on the upswing now, right? He had a good game against the 49ers. He had a great game against the 49ers, actually. He was playing better against the Bengals and Panthers, I think. So he's on the up and up. So I think we have reasonable expectations of Okung being a good left tackle for the rest of the season if he stays healthy, which is a whole nother thing. I mean, the guy is playing for a contract. This is probably the last chance he's ever going to get a big-time NFL contract. And, he's going to give it his all these last 8 games plus the playoffs. The guards, Britt and Sweezy. Britt played the best game he's played all year against the Cowboys. Sweezy may have played his best game against the Cowboys. It's either that game or the Bengals game. Both those guys were good. They were good against the run and the pass, in my opinion. I like both of those guys. I've been hard as hell on Britt this season. Anybody who watches this team would be hard on Britt because he's been, the first month of the season, he was just basically a trash can out there. You can go and watch his video from his game against the Lions, and yeah, it looks like you could put a tackling dummy out there and he would block better. He's been getting better. He was a little better against the Bengals and Panthers. He did some good stuff against the 49ers, and he was good against the Cowboys. I'm not going to say he was great, but he was good. And with Justin Britt, one thing that needs to be remembered is that he started the season as our starting right tackle, and he was our starting right tackle until the second week of the preseason. That was when we moved him over to left guard. And in my opinion, his skill set translates better to playing guard than tackle, but at the end of the day, it does take a while to adjust to playing a whole new position on the other side of the offensive line. So maybe we were a little unfair to him when we were just saying, oh, he's complete trash. Maybe that first month of the season was just an adjustment phase. And maybe the Brit that has been playing these last few games is going to be the Brit that we get for the rest of the season. And he'll at least be below average at left guard. I can deal with below average. Just don't be terrible. Don't be a trash can. Just be below average to average. And I think there's a chance for that. This guy was a low second-round pick. He has talent. We just haven't seen it much yet this year, but the Dallas game gave me hope. Right guard, J.R. Sweezy. He played a good game against the Cowboys as well. He might have played his best game of the season against the Cowboys. I thought he played good too. He played good against the Bengals. He played terrible against the 49ers, so that's my alarm bell there. But Sweezy has been good in the past, and there's no reason for him to not be good now. He's playing for a contract too. He's got 8 games plus the playoffs left to prove that he deserves a big NFL contract. So you know he's going to be given everything he has these last 8 games to try to secure that. And he's had a couple good games over the last month, like I said. I think there's reason to be optimistic about him as well. So if you're looking on the bright side of things, those 3 positions, left tackle, left guard, right guard, I feel okay about that. Center. We have 3 guys at center right now, and in my opinion, they are all somewhere between below average and bad. I'm not going to say they're terrible because I don't think they are. I'm not going to say any of them are average or better because they don't produce like that. Drew Nowak, he's a passable blocker, but his snaps need work. He's especially against that Lions game, but I think he's been getting better. I mean, he's a young guy. He got thrown into the center position kind of almost unexpectedly. He was an undrafted free agent. Takes time. Not Pierre Lewis. Jean Lewis or Jean Pierre. We have too many French guys on this team. Jean Pierre. Low ceiling, but we kind of know what he is, and we know what he is it's serviceable. Patrick Lewis. I've never really seen him play very much. My gut tells me that means he's not very good because if he was good, he would be stealing the starting position from guys who aren't that good. But those are your 3 guys. With those 3 guys, I almost feel like you're playing, fuck one, kill one, marry one. Start one, bench one, cut one. And it's probably going to be Drew Nowak, and I'm not going to say he's good. In fact, I'm going to straight out say he's below average. He might even be bad, but he's young. He can get better, and that's all I got for that. And then finally, right tackle, Gary Gilliam. There is a low ceiling on this guy, but there's a high floor. Gary Gilliam, in my opinion, has been our most steady offensive lineman this year. Unfortunately, when I say that, I think he's been steadily below average. Not bad. I'm not going to say he's bad, but he's been below average. He's a okay pass blocker. I thought he was going to be better, but he's been okay. He doesn't have it in run blocking. He's not big enough. He's not strong enough. He can't run block like Yakamini did back in the day. So to me, I don't know. I can't get too excited about those guys, but I don't think any of them are terrible. And the last thing to remember with the offensive line is, it takes a while for these guys to get used to each other. It's a totally different line than it was last year. I mean, Britt has moved positions. We have a brand new center. We have a new right tackle. The only stable positions were Okung and Sweezy, and Britt, who had to move from right tackle to left guard. I think there's a chance that as the games go along in the second half of the season, we're going to see continued improvement. We're going to see good play from Okung and Sweezy, hopefully Britt. Maybe Noek will progress to the point where he's at least average. Maybe Gilliam will solidify up a little bit in pass blocking and at least be a strength there. I could see things playing out, being optimistic, where this offensive line plays a lot better in the second half. So breaking it down position by position, that's what I got. Last bit of good news I have there is Alvin Bailey didn't look terrible against the Cowboys. He played okay. He's our sixth offensive lineman off the bench. If anybody gets hurt, Alvin Bailey will probably be the first one out there, except for Noek. If Noek gets hurt, Jean-Pierre goes out there. But he played not terrible. So if somebody goes down, I don't feel as bad about Alvin Bailey having to go out there. All right, that's the offensive line. It doesn't look good right now, and if you're a fan of this team, it might be holding you back from being too optimistic, but that's my positive spin on it. And wide receiver, just to talk about it real quick, these guys, they struggle to get open. Doug Baldwin, elite cornerbacks can completely shut him down. Josh Norman did it this year. Darrelle Revis did it last year. If you give him a matchup against an elite cornerback, he doesn't get open. Jermaine Kearse, there are going to be 4 to 6 games a season where he just doesn't get open. These guys have a hard time with that. Chris Matthews, he can't get open against anybody. He just uses his size, so there's the thing. Only receiver we have on this team who can get consistent separation is a rookie, and he's a special rookie too, so not the biggest problem in the world to have. But good news there. We're starting to use Jimmy Graham more as a wideout, and it worked very well against the Cowboys. He caught 3 passes, including a big-time third down conversion against the Cowboys when he was split out at wide receiver. And obviously, as the season goes along and he gets more and more integrated into this offense, I think that not having a real number 1 wide receiver, that effect is going to be diminished significantly. So Paul Richardson, he's coming back too. We'll see what he gives us. Not too worried about the receivers right now. I don't think the receivers are the problem. So our team is our team, and I feel okay about that. So that's my positive spin on the second half of the season, because everything else is fine. The pass rushers are fine. The linebackers are fine. The secondary's fine. The running backs are good. The quarterback, some people are hard on Wilson this year, and I get it, but he's not the problem. All we need is improvement from the offensive line and from the receivers. That's all it is, people. All right, I'm going to go check out some basketball, so catch y'all later, and go Hawks.